All right, today we're talking about how to grow your business with outsourced or remote talent. My guest today is Andy Cheng. I'll tell you more about him in a second, and so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corkin here. I'm the host of this show, and I'm sure you've listened before. I trust you've listened before because we have had some amazing guests this past year, and I'm so proud of all the great guests we've had on. We've had smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you look at the archives, we've got Netflix, we've got Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activation Blizzard, Lending Tree, Open Table, and many more. Redfin, Gusto, you name it. Check it out. And of course, this episode brought to you by Rise 25, our company where we help B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships with done for you podcasts and content marketing. And you go to our website at rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com to learn more about what we do. All right, my guest here today is Andy Cheng. He's a co-founder of OptiNizers and Freight Genesis. He is also a lead at Highlight Freight Management, which is a family business. We'll talk about that. He's currently very active in Entrepreneurs Organization, which is how he and I connected. He's been president of EO Los Angeles, which is a very large chapter, and very active in a lot of different roles, and lived a very international life, living all over the globe. So we're going to hear about all these different businesses that he started. And there are some people that call themselves a serial entrepreneur, and they're not really a serial entrepreneur, but he truly is a serial entrepreneur. Has started multiple different businesses. So, Andy, I'm excited to have you here today. And first of all, you grew up in Taiwan. And, I always ask people about what they were like as a kid and, were they doing paper routes and stuff like that. And in your words, you said you were a spoiled kid. You did grow up in an entrepreneurial family, but didn't get around to money-making endeavors until, I believe, college, you said.
Yeah. Hi, John. Like I said, in the practical, yes, I was pretty spoiled. I think my parents treat me really, really well. And I never need to worry about money. I don't spend much, but then I didn't have to spend much, but then there's no money, like complain about money in my life until I want to make some money in doing college. So when I was studying in Canada, I went back to Taiwan during summer and winter. I used that couple of weeks or months to become an English tutor. And that was my first entrepreneur, I would say, money making opportunity. I just seized that moment. And then I don't know how to teach English. I just fake it until you make it, I guess. I made some decent money for college student. I think that was a decent money in Taiwan. So that was my first entrepreneurial experience. Yeah.
I've met so many people that, when they're given so much that they're just not motivated to work, to start a hustle, to generate money if they've got enough money in their bank account from their parents. Or conversely, I've interviewed lots of people that grew up poor, and so they're motivated to go out there and make some money because they want things. They want a pair of shoes or something like that. Why do you think, if you were raised and your parents, as you said, kind of spoiled you, what motivated you to go out there and teach English during college?
That's a good question. I think that also came with later story. I'm always very cautious about this. I just knew my life was too perfect, too easy. Like my parents are very nice to me on this is just be a good student. And it's very Asia mentality. Just your job is to be a good student. You don't need to be
Yeah.
a good son. It's not even part of a requirement. Just be a good student. Study, 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 study. I always knew that was too easy. If you tell me that this is it, be a good student and get a good job, your life is done, I would be for sure. I knew that was not true.
Yeah.
So I will always was very cautious about that. I knew life was not that easy.
If this
So
was a movie, this would be like foreshadowing, like the pandemic, which is looming down,
yeah,
down the line, and which will play a big part in your story a little bit later. All right, so you study in Toronto, I believe. So this is
University of Toronto. Yes.
okay. So you grew up in Taiwan. Was that a big cultural change for you moving to Canada?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I was given like a 1 week notice when I was in Taipei, where my mom said, "No, you're gonna you're gonna quit school from Taiwan and then pay, and you're gonna to Canada. And then she said Vancouver. I was like, there was no Google in the 90s, so I was like, where the heck is Vancouver? What's Vancouver actually? What's Vancouver? Went in there, did not speak a word of English, and
Wow.
in public school, and then took me 6 months to figure out how to communicate. And then my mom said, no, I'm sending you to a private school, which is on Vancouver Island. Um, and then
Did they
that
go
was
with you? Is this high school now?
it's a boarding school. So
Is it boarding
my
school? Okay.
mom, yeah, my mom sent me to a boarding school on
How
Vancouver
old were
Island.
you?
I went to Canada in public school in eighth grade, and then went to the
So you're
boarding
like
school in ninth grade.
so like
Yeah,
13,
13,
13 and
13.
14. And
Yeah.
what was that like?
That was, I think this is actually funny thing you asked me this question. It was terrifying at the beginning, but I think it just shows who I am. I just try. So my mom, I remember the first year, my mom said, "Oh, at the boarding school, just sign out for everything you see on the board, on school board. Just sign out for everything." So anything, I just sign out. I put my name on it without even reading what's there. It's like, okay, sign out. So I sign out for bungee jumping without
Bungee,
knowing.
bungee
I signed
jump.
I signed up for bungee jumping. I
You
was
didn't know what
there.
it was?
I didn't know what it was, and then until I was on the bridge, I was like, "Holy!"
You barely speak English. You have no idea what
Because
it is, and all of a sudden you're
no,
on
and
a
then
break.
I was a ninth grader. You better not withdraw. You better not cry. You're gonna get bullied away out of for the
Oh,
next 4 years. So I was like, suck it out. And everybody jump. I guess what happened? I jumped and three, two, one, bungee. I three, two, one, and then jump. I fainted. So
oh,
I don't. So funny thing, my son just asked me about my bungee jumping experience literally last night.
yeah.
He was like, "Dad, what was like bungee jumping?" He's like, "I
You
don't
don't
remember
remember.
because I fainted." So, so
Oh my gosh.
I just signed up for that, and then I signed up for a Broadway show, like to be on a school play. I think the play was called Oklahoma. So at the same time, there was a unfortunate thing happening in Oklahoma City. Remember, John, there's the
Oh yeah,
Oklahoma
yeah.
City bombing. So I know that's new. I knew that news. So I keep thinking, okay, we're gonna go to Oklahoma City to visit, the orphan,
That's what you
whatever
thought
you
you were doing.
call.
You didn't think you were
So
signing up for a play.
I didn't know what the hell was play because to me, play means play. I mean, like I didn't know
Yeah,
it was a show.
right.
So I was very confused for the first 2 months. Every night we had because boarding school we go after prep time we go practice dancing and singing. I was just very confused. We're gonna go visit Oklahoma City. Why do we need to sing and get costume? It wasn't until the third month I realized, oh, I signed up for Broadway play, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
Jeez.
So my nickname at my old high school was I'm the Oklahoma boy because this is the Asian dude, Asian
Asian
kid
kid.
who signed up for a play, didn't know what the hell he was doing.
That's
And that was
hilarious.
if you think about it now, long term, and looking back 25 years ago, that's pretty entrepreneurial experience. You're getting things without knowing and then trying to figure things out.
You
Yeah,
jump
I
off a
guess.
bridge, pass out, and then midway down, try and figure out what you're doing. That's pretty much that's a good metaphor for entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Say yes first, seize the moment, and then figure something out later.
Yeah.
But I didn't
What a
know.
crazy,
Didn't know.
what a
Yeah.
crazy experience. So, all right, let's jump forward a number of years. So you're 26 years old. You're about getting married, and
Yeah.
something major happened in your life that changed your life forever.
Yeah, I mean, I met my wife um at during my years in at the University of Toronto. We both were from Taiwan, so we went to Taiwan. It's a perfect relationship, and I just knew she was the one. She was the one. So I just wanted to get married and settle down and then move forward to the next thing I need to focus on. So um I was working for AC Nielsen, a market research company, and I was talking to my client that when you work for agency, your goal is to be hired by your client. So GSK was my client, the pharmaceutical company. So they already said, "Hey, finish this program at AC Nielsen. We're gonna hire you." I thought my life was pretty much set for the next 20, 30 years. You just go to client side, you work for clients, and you hopefully the company hire you a salary double in Taiwan. I thought everything was figured. And that's why okay, I'm gonna get married in 26, gonna have kids early. And it wasn't 2 weeks before my wedding. my dad called me to the hospital and told me he has stage 4 lung cancer. At that time, his doctor told him he has 3 months left.
Wow.
So, John, guess what was my first reaction when he told me that?
Well, probably a lot going through your head, but
No,
um,
no,
no, nothing.
mine
No.
was this. I knew it. I knew my life was too easy.
Mm,
I knew it. I was like, here we go. I
yeah.
knew something's going to happen. I just
Yeah.
didn't figure it's going to be my dad got sick, but I
Right.
just figured. And then next thing I know is I somehow just raise my hand, say, okay, I'll take care of your business.
Because he was running the business. And by the way, I had a similar feeling probably around the same time in the late 90s. For those who didn't live through this era, it was a very peaceful time. The economy was doing really well all throughout the 90s. And then I remember two things. The Columbine massacre was
Mhm.
really traumatic for me that we've now had many school shootings, but that was in 1999.
Correct.
And then 9/11.
Nine
And I
11.
remember I remember before 9/11 saying to my dad that I felt like our generation didn't really have anything to define them. I mean, at the time I was like 23, 24 years old, 22, something like that. There wasn't a Vietnam like my parents' generation had. There wasn't a World War II like his parents' generation had. Now, unfortunately, I feel like we've had a bunch of things that have defined us, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We're in that uncertainty age, 911, and then the first financial crisis in Southeast Asia, I remember, or
yeah,
Korea. Um, but then at that time we're student, like,
yeah.
okay, it happens. So okay, not that we care or we don't, it's like there's nothing we can do. But, but
So
yeah,
you get married, your dad has stage 4 cancer. What do you do next?
I volunteered to take over his company. So I got married 2006 June, and my wife was pregnant almost immediately after the wedding. And then within the month, we moved to Shanghai. For the very first time, I went to China, and then I was a researcher at AC Nielsen, and then within 2 months span, I'm the owner of a business. I wasn't even sure what the heck my dad was doing.
So your dad
So
didn't talk to you much about the business
he
when you're
gave
growing
me
up.
a handover for like a month, and then he had to go back to Taiwan to get treatment.
Mm.
So and then
And
and
was
then
he really integral to the company at the time?
yeah, he was very involved. But then John, it was like the first time I realized how life works. Like you got a shareholder coming in. So some shareholder who's still with me, and then my uncle is so supportive. You got shareholder just basically ditch me. Like you can feel like how I guess how that reality sets in, right? That you got
So
I
your
was
dad wasn't the sole owner. There were other owners,
there were
shareholder.
others, but
Okay.
but then with those brotherhood handshake agreement. However, it was just reality sets in where I was in the very different culture. Even though we're all Chinese, we're all Asians, it's very different.
Hmm.
And I remember this one night, me and my wife were watching a lot of movies at home, and then with that, oh my God, we're done for the night. And then you check your clock, it was 7 p.m. And then we start crying. We're like, this is our life. This is our life. We have no friends in Shanghai. We don't know. I don't know what the heck I was doing every day at the company, and nobody listened to me.
Hmm.
And why would they? I don't know. I'm the youngest person. And it turns out they call me the boss. I feel very awkward
So you
for the
come
first.
in, you are
Yeah.
the son of your dad. They've never met
Yeah.
you before. How many
Never.
employees are you having
We
to
got 15 at
lead?
that time.
15. So you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
15 employees and you come in, you're the son of the boss. They've
Yeah.
never met you before and you've got to
Yeah.
earn their respect.
They had to learn their respect. I need to deal with a lot of office politics. You got the right hand person want to take over the company, try to do things. And it was so and it's not like I know how to find a mentor. I keep myself everything to myself
Mm,
because I didn't want to tell my parents because my mom is already busy enough to take care of my
right.
dad,
Right.
and you don't want to tell your dad and then he's make his situation worse. So I
Right.
kept everything myself. So I don't, and then it was just hard. It was hard in the sense that I have no one to talk to, like
Yeah.
no one to talk to, like even to friends. You don't like, especially in China, you don't tell people how much trouble you're in. You always tell people how rich you're successful you are. So when I was with
Wow.
my friends or so-called friends, you don't tell them anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
you
then
can't, you have no, really have no one to turn to. Could you turn to your wife at that time?
no, to turn to my wife,
You
she
don't want
was
to, you don't want
pregnant, and
to,
then
she's
they say,
pregnant.
I
You don't
said
want
to
to
her,
freak her out, probably, right?
you're gonna freak her. And then there's
Yeah.
once I forgot to give her money. So when she had to pay something, she had like, I forgot, like not enough money. She freaked out.
Mm,
And like I can't understand why she freaked out. It's like, oh my God, I have no money in the account. I just
mm,
forgot to transfer the
hmm.
money. So you can't, I don't want to freak anybody. Besides, it's just not the right time to tell anybody.
Right.
So I kept everything myself a
And,
lot.
and was the business doing okay?
I think it was doing very well
Okay.
until my dad unfortunately passed away after 1 year and 9 months of fighting with the
Mm,
cancer. It
mm,
was expected. Um, then you start seeing the truth. Um, John, I'll give you the best motivation speech I ever heard from my mom at my dad's funeral. And by the way, I'm being sarcastic about that. Um, I gave a very good speech about my dad, and then everybody was stand up and
mm,
applause.
mm,
And my mom came to me and whispered in my ear when I was in tears,
mm.
and then she said, "Andy, you got to work hard. Everybody is rooting for you to fail."
Oof.
I'm like, and you look at all the uncle, at least with things, relative uncle, auntie,
Hmm.
you're like, no,
Mm,
no, they're not. But
mm,
but then you're just like in disbelief or what situation I was in.
mm.
So and then at that time I still have no I didn't tell my wife about what my mom told me until
Yeah.
years later. So
Why,
it's
why do you
yeah.
think she said that? Did she say that? Was that meant to motivate you or was
I
that,
think she meant to motivate me
uh-huh.
in an Asian way, but it was more like, oh, okay, I'm only 27, almost 28. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Made it harder. It made it harder on you.
It didn't help. It
It
didn't
didn't help.
help
Yeah.
in the sense that, okay, I cannot let my guard down. And then, yeah, so honestly,
And you're probably
I,
feeling even more lonely after this.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I was extremely lonely. No one can, like, I got a lot of people who want to drink, eat, fun, but then no one I can talk to for business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which, I mean, you later joined Entrepreneurs Organization, which, of course, not to
the
turn
opposite
this
of it.
into an ad, not to turn this into an ad for EO, but I mean, it is an organization that exists for the very purpose of giving
Yeah,
entrepreneurs that community, giving that, them a place that they can turn to where they have other people that they can talk to.
yeah. You just
Um,
don't feel alone anymore. I think that's the
right.
way of saying it. You're not alone. Yeah.
Right, right. What did anything, how long did you stay in Shanghai? Was there anything that made you feel like
Um,
you turned the corner on that?
I stayed in Shanghai for a total of 10 years, 2016. So I think the in between, I think I was always looking for other way of making money. I just didn't feel like my life is. I don't want to settle. Like um,
Hmm.
so there was opportunity to say, okay, iron ore mining. It was it was a big
Iron
deal.
ore. All right, so you take over your parents, your father's
Yeah,
freight business,
yeah,
and now you go into explore another business
yeah,
opportunity, which is iron ore mining, and
yeah.
this is in Mexico, halfway a
It
world
was in
away.
Mexico because I couldn't crack my way into Brazil, which is the main market of or else Australia. They're called
Okay.
tier one supply. You go for tier two because it's cheaper, and then a lot of a mill, uh, steel mill in China, they need to buy tier one and use tier two because it's cheaper to bring in to lower down their cost. So I went there. This funny thing, I made my first bucket of gold, I guess, money from Mexico because I was like doing some shipping for them. I make a very quick 35,000 US net profit for absolutely nothing, just coordinating this and that, and they get a boat coming in, vessel coming into China, $35,000. And I was like, wow, that's easy money. That's really easy money. So I start talking to the supplier. Hey, can I become middleman?
Hmm.
And they say, yeah. And then I had no money in my pocket. So I convinced my aunt, one of my family friends, to say, hey, can you give me $1 million credit on the bank?
Hmm.
And then somehow I was a very good sales. I persuade her to give me $1 million, and I brought that credit line to Mexico
And what was to buy mining equipment or
to
what for?
buy no to buy supplies.
To buy
And then
supplies.
I was able to leverage that, and then I start cold calling steel mill in China, introduce myself, and then when drinking with them, party with them, and then convince them, okay, give me a letter of credit, LC, for whatever quantity I promised you, whatever quality I promised you, I'll get it done. So I did.
Hmm.
So, um, and then it wasn't until the first time I almost shit my pants when they sent a $2 million vessel coming in, and then we're supposed to give them 50,000 tons of iron ore. By the time the vessel was there, we only had 10,000 tons. And
Oh,
then I called the buyer saying, I don't think we're going to make it this time. Guess what was his answer?
what did he say?
I don't give a F. In 10 days, if this vessel doesn't leave with 50,000 tons, we kill you.
This is from one of the
The
Chinese.
Chinese, Chinese owned buyer.
Oh my gosh.
So we scramble. I didn't sleep for 10 days. We buy everywhere possible. And then we made 55,000. We
Oh,
overload.
oh my god.
So that was my first bucket of gold. I think we make $1 million on
Damn.
that. And
Wow.
then
So
the
like
next
you're
deal,
like it's somewhere in the spectrum between they kill you and you made $1 million
oh yeah, they
in the
treat me
span of
like a
10
king.
days.
When the vessel arrived in China, they they treat me like I am the VIP. I represent Mexico. I'm the shit. I'm like the person. I'm exploding. I'll put a door of Mexican iron ore to the Chinese market. I was the shit.
But
But then the next,
did you so then were you like I want to keep on doing this or were you like
of
this is
course I did.
crazy?
I was like, okay, you know what? The $1 million we made, we're gonna invest in the next deal. And then guess how much? We lost $2 million on the next deal. We make
Oh,
another million the next deal. So I kind of figured after 2 years, I don't have a business. This is not a business. It's not a business. And then my vendors start getting killed by the mafia.
ugh.
So it, and then you kind of realize, okay, this is not the right way. And I don't want to be that stressed out every day. And I do want to
That's
see my kids. I don't want to see
yeah.
my wife. So I was living there in 2 years for 2 years on and off without speaking a word of Spanish. And it's just not right for me. So
Where in Mexico were you?
I don't think you know this place. Lazaro Cardenas is basically um, 3 hours away from Ixtapa, which is the resort area.
Okay.
Um, it's just
I mean, that
there's
must have been pretty lonely too if your family wasn't there and you're
I was lonely. I
yeah.
was heck lonely. I never watched that much baseball in my room
Hmm.
every night. And then I never cooked that much instant noodle because there's not much food to eat there.
Yeah.
And nice food there. But look, it's experience, right?
Right.
It made me tough. Um,
So let's fast forward then to Freight Genesis. Your uncle tricked you into starting this business? How does
yeah,
that happen?
I when I moved to the States, I mean, I didn't feel the reason why I left China. Well, this company is still there, Highlight is still operating as of today. I just feel like I'm no longer valuable in China. So back in
Did you
early
did but
2000,
before we get to that, did you feel like was there a point you reached where you felt like the company was operating enough that you could leave?
yeah,
Did you have
I
you had a
feel
good
like
team in place?
I have my right hand person. We have the teams kind of set up there, and I was never really that passionate about logistics. Because
Yeah.
my dad was, I wasn't.
Right.
So I
You
feel like I've done my job.
kind of an
Yeah,
accidental logistics company owner.
yeah.
Yeah.
So so 2016, my foreign mate from EO, China East is in Shanghai, asked me if I would love to move to the States. He will sponsor me. I was like, heck yes. So I moved there without even doing any study whatsoever about what Los Angeles looked like. So I moved there. I chose Chino Hill because I thought it was a nearby warehouse which I could do some import. So I moved there. Um, and then I still refused to do any more logistic companies until my uncle told me, "Hey, I need some handling for you in LA. Can you let's open a company? It's easy. Come, you barely will need to spend time." So
Hmm.
he treated me to opening with him. And then when I told my friends from China, "Hey, I opened a logistic company," and next thing you know is a lot more shipment coming in.
Hmm.
So, and I became, I guess I became a forwarder again in the States
Mm.
in an
Mm.
accident. And
So
that
you're,
company just took off.
so you're back into the same line of work but
I
not
never
something
left, but
you're,
then I really
yeah.
elevated. Basically, I put down more logistic, I guess,
Yeah.
work for me. And then because I also happened doing and later on I happened doing pandemic, which the business really kick off.
Yeah, let's talk about
So
that. I mean, well, during the pandemic, there also were a ton of logistics issues. So how did you deal with that during that time period?
um, we we just had to face it. And I guess I keep telling myself, enjoy the problem. Every day I woke up, enjoy the problem, enjoy the problem. It's just looking at pace yourself. And then during that time, I start using virtual assistant, remote
Mm,
talent. Because
mm.
um, and then it's when I explored the benefit of outsourcing. But get back to the logistic, it was a money making time of 2 years. But the only thing I think I've done differently than other forwarder is I did not reinvest the money I made to um to rent a bigger warehouse to hire more. I was very cautious because I knew that fundamentally the market is never it's not real during pandemic.
So you knew
So
that this it got much
it's
bigger, but you
temporary.
knew it died down, so you didn't want to
It would die down.
overinvest. Yeah. Okay.
It's like you only every household can only purchase that much more things to their home.
Yeah.
So you knew they're purchasing so much because the government gave them money, but at the end,
Right.
they get back to normal. They're going to purchase the way they used to before pandemic.
Right.
So I
Right.
knew situational. You don't take
Now,
situational thing.
you ended up also starting a company and you became the biggest isolation gown provider during
Yeah.
the pandemic.
So okay, John, this is a funny one. At the very beginning of pandemic, I bet every business thought this is the end of their whatever money or whatever. So I have all my credit card lying on my table and then calling each of the credit card company and see how much more credit I can use. I feel like, okay, I use all the credit card. If I don't pay them, Adio will leave USA. I was like, okay, this is my last layer,
Mhm.
last frontier, however you call. And then one day at EOLA chat room, somebody from one of the members post, hey, MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther King Hospital is looking for a 95.
The
I
masks.
Google
Yeah.
what N95, which is the mask, right? And
Yeah.
then I vividly remember, oh, there's a warehouse 9 minutes away from my home in Chino
Mm.
Hill.
Hmm.
Legendary said they have N95. I went in the next morning, took
You,
photo, sent
this
it to
is
my friend.
during the pandemic. You just went straight down there, walked
Yeah,
down, knocked on the door.
walk down there. Hey, I heard you have a 95. Can I see it? I took photo, I took video, and then within 2 hours, the hospital sent a truck with cash. They inspected. They gave me money, and I was like, wow, that's a quick $4,000 money, whatever. I
So
forgot how much.
did you buy the masks from the warehouse?
Yeah,
So you
like
bought
they
them
gave
and then
me
you
cash.
resold them.
I
Okay.
cashed whatever the cost, the cash to the warehouse, and
Hmm.
then it was cash transaction. And then, wow, that's a quick $4,000 money for doing this. And
Yeah.
then the next thing, the member was so appreciated on this thing. She posted thank you notes on EOLA chat room. I still have
Mm,
that screenshot.
mm,
And then it's like, thank you for this thing. And you're the man. Thank you for saving this hospital, which I did. But I
mm.
also made money. So I didn't feel like you thank me for I make money. Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's not like I didn't do it for charity. And then within spend out 5 minutes, I got 20 different message and phone call from EOLA members. Say, hey, I heard you're the mask guy. I heard you're the PPE guy. And again, it's a fake account you make it. I say, sure, I am. And then I just figure, okay, why not register a new company called Mask Guru? And then And then rumors spread very fast to all the way to China. And then we had the factory reach out to me. Rumor says, Andy, you can sell PPE, which I didn't. Okay, I say, sure. Can we ship our isolation gown to you? Give me an address. So guess how many containers arrive within the next 1 month, John?
How many? 10.
50 containers arrived to my door. By the way, I
Yeah,
did
where
not
did
have
you
a
put
warehouse.
Yeah, not a
No, I
warehouse.
did not. While the containers on the way, we get notified. I start searching for warehouses. So I have EO members for a warehouse. I was begging everybody to take over my 50. So without, like, I didn't know until 6 months later. And then when I was acknowledged that, Andy, you do realize that you're the largest isolation gown supplier in the entire North America.
Wow.
So my company, Masters Guru, from zero, we went from zero to $5.5 million in span of 6 months.
Wow, that's insane.
And then it was crazy.
Why were you, so there was a period of time where everyone was trying to get PPE. Why was it just your network? Like, how were you able to find this supply when everyone else was desperate to find it?
I think it's just once you have the reputation, and then honestly, I'm always the guy say, hey, so for instance, John, you say, hey, Andy, I have 2 pallets of masks. I know I will not believe a word you say until you say, John, what's your address? I'm gonna inspect myself. I think my reputation is I don't just do transaction
You verify.
thing. I verify.
Yeah.
So I count. And then honestly, anybody who want to buy with me, we always do the transaction at the parking lot. So it was so many times was like, okay, where's your money? Where's your mask? I'm not going to give you my mask. I'll not see the money the other way around. So I'd done it at the beginning of the stage. This is what I did. People would think I'm doing cocaine, but I was doing masks. It's funny.
It was more profitable than cocaine.
More valuable than cocaine.
Exactly, for that period of time.
Yes.
So you end up. I wanted to ask you, when we were talking about Freight Genesis earlier, you said that you were very careful during the pandemic. You knew that this was a bubble. You knew that there was an inflated demand during that period of time. So you're very careful to not overinvest, not, buy too much equipment. With Maskuro, you said you went from 0 to 5.5 million. How did you protect yourself? Because I'm sure you also realized with PPE that this was not going to last forever. So how did you ensure that you did not make that mistake with that business?
Oh, same thing. It's once you start trending down, like, here's the thing. I have a mentality when the market tell you it's going down, you don't need to prove to the market. No, you're wrong. The market is a macro way of telling you this is going down. Then that people start going out, mass is not going to be needed. And that means isolation gown. So we start selling cheaper and cheaper. And we are the first few supplier. We start giving away for free. Toward the end, we're begging the hospital to take it for free. I'll even chip in some money to ship it for you for free.
Because you wanted to get it off your hands.
Because once this doesn't solve, then you're gonna be owing a lot of warehouse storage charge. So I think one of my experience is know when to get out.
Know when to get out.
Just like iron ore, time to quit. Like I used to want to prove everybody wrong. But that's just that's ego talking.
Let's talk about OptiNizers. You mentioned earlier that this was inspired by your previous businesses where you started using. So how did you start using the kind of outsourced remote talent?
I was able to afford a service called CEO coaching. I'm sure we hold that.
Yeah.
So my coach, she was coaching me, and then she was coaching for Mass Guru to help me to expand. And then one day she just said, you know how to use a virtual assistant? I was like, what's that? She was the one who made the intro. What that is, I Google and I used one of the servers, one of the agency to place 3 people for me, and wasn't pleasant because I was paying like nearly 2,800 a month, and my operation person is like always falling asleep doing my shift, doing my time. And I have to one day ask her, okay, why are you always asleep? She said, sorry, Andy, I have to work in the morning. I'm like, why? I thought my money was good enough for you. She said, no, I'm only getting paid 450 out of 2,800. She was getting a fraction of that. So I told her, you know what? Screw that. Quit your job, quit from them, come to me. I'll pay you more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was complaining to my friends from EO Philippines, like, hey, who's now my co-founders, hey, this is sucks. This business sucks.
Mm.
Like, what the heck? And then he said, Andy, in EO, you want to complain about it or you want to do something about it?
Mm.
And the next thing I know, we started a company that focusing on helping small business like you and me to
Mm-hmm.
grow with outsourced remote talent. And then also most importantly, we want to make a difference for our Filipino talent. Like you
Mm-hmm.
want to get paid. So we hardly negotiate with our virtual talent. Like however you want to pay, you want to get paid, this is the money we want to pay you. We don't want to negotiate on
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
That's
you mentioned that you have a business partner. How did you decide that this is could be a long conversation, but how did you decide that that was the right business partner for you?
I think it's about value alignment. What do you believe in?
Mm-hmm.
And then honestly, I'm happy my first business partner is like we have extremely different personality. It's like marriage. You can't have two alpha. It won't work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's alpha in his industry and alpha in my industry. But then with this together, they let me to be running the business the way I want to. And then he's being so supported to running this with me. But he gave me the whole freedom to run the way I want to run. And then give me, but then not afraid to tell me my blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm a big fan of using outsourced talent. I think there's amazing talent out there in this globe, and we've all become interconnected, especially after the pandemic, with different
Yeah.
tools that allow us to work together. But what are your opinions of the market now as we record this at the end of 2024? Obviously during the pandemic, remote work was very popular, and a lot of people were starting to hire VA agencies and hire outsourced staff and stuff like that.
Mhm.
What do where do you see it like? Just is there a lot more potential out there this year? Has it seemed like with the pandemic receding, did it level off? What's the market look like?
And the market is still big. And of course, there are more, I guess, company like us in the market. At the end, I think the market is still big because most of my clients never had a virtual assistant in their life.
Mm,
So a lot of small business now have to, because of inflation here, labor costs, and then lawsuit here, they tend to want to go for outsource. It could be in
mm,
Philippines, Latin America, or Eastern Europe. I think the trend is still there.
mm,
But with the AI coming, the difference between now versus, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago is you don't need to have, suppose you have a couple vacancy, like you have five vacancy 5 years ago, for the same five opening, you can use 2 to 3 virtual assistant or remote talent. We say that right now, feel that because of AI. Like
plus AI, yeah.
AI is not here to replace us. AI is here to make us more efficient. The one who doesn't use AI, those are the remote talent will be replaced.
Mm.
The market is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you about your involvement in Entrepreneurs Organization. You've been heavily involved, sort of as
Yeah.
president, sort of regional roles. We talked earlier about how lonely you felt early in your career when you had to step in, you didn't have anyone to turn to. Talk a little bit about the impact that EO has had on you personally and professionally.
Oh, right. Where can we begin? I think it is a gateway for me to really share my ups and downs, my 5%. It's like, and then also a lot of friends from I met from EO, they have no problem telling me what the heck I'm doing wrong. Like I need people, I have enough people to tell me how perfect I am. I
Just
don't
not
have enough people.
relatives.
Yeah, just not relatives, right? I don't have enough people to tell me what the hell I'm doing wrong. And then EO is a place to to help to show your blind spots. And then also I guess it's a community where I really am I thrive. My business basically AX since I joined EO.
Wow.
This is I just realize who I am, what I
Mm,
want to do. I find my tribe. I find my community here, especially EO LA. I love my chapter. Yes, I was the president just this past June. And I'm still involved in regional. And hopefully I do further more and more. I'm a learning expert, so feel free to reach out to me, any learning things. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm really here because I'm inspired to make a difference in people's life and my life.
And then my last question, I'm a big fan of gratitude, especially expressing gratitude to any peers or contemporaries who've helped you in your journey. Who would you want to acknowledge?
Oh, the first one is definitely my wife. My wife, Ruby, definitely led me to be who I want to be. Like she let me to travel anywhere I want, to enjoy my life, foreign retreat, business time. She led me to be who I want to be. And I want to thank to my EOLA people, especially my EOLA people. I got a couple very close friends, Alice, Elizabeth, Mitch, Madam Punctual. Like I have a lot, Brad. I have a lot of people there. Cindy, that challenged me every way possible. And my foreign mate, I have a couple foreign before, and then they really were there. When everything was done working, they were there for me, like literally there for me. They cry with me, they succeed with me, they were always there for me. And of course, I guess my family, not guess, I know my family, they're my cornerstone. And an EMP classmate,
Yes,
you.
That's right.
It's honestly, if you were in EO long enough, I would be shocked that you did not try to apply for EMP. It's like game changer.
And EMP is the Entrepreneurial Masters Program. It's kind of like an executive MBA within Entrepreneurs Organization. Yeah.
65 people around the globe. It's the hardest program to get into. It's not about money. It's about how they want everyone to be there, to be the one that trying to change, trying to make a difference, impact in the community. That's what I think.
Andy, it's been such a pleasure hearing your backstory. Where can people go to learn more about you and OptiNizers and other things you're involved in?
Thank you. Follow me on LinkedIn or my Facebook. I'm not active in social media, but I'm very private because of Mexico, because that's another story when I tell you later. But I'm always around. If you're from EO, you probably will see me either in regional or global events. I don't miss much on any of the EO activity. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.